Now, as the title of this video suggests, we're going to look at simple business process monitoring. Now, what is process monitoring? Very simply is a task or an action that is taking place, and then you're monitoring the results and or the time of which it takes. Now, since I happen to be waiting for my lab to update, as you can see Windows updates are currently running, I figured now is a great time to look at how this might work. So we will use a while statement, so while true, or while we're able to collect this information. We need a start time first of all, so we're going to go with a get time date. In this case we're going to format it with just the display date. We're going to get a status, so in this case we need the status of our action, so we're going to go ahead and do a curl command and get a very popular website and check whether the status is returned. That allows us to look for things like 200 versus 400 or 500 error codes as an example. We then also need a stop time in order to determine when that status was returned and how long it took to consequently load the page. So this is a very simple example of a business process because we're looking at those two bits of information, the start time, the end time, and that gives us our total time, and then also what status was returned. Now that could work for a number of different things, but for us this is going to be our example. So now we're creating a variable called duration, which is taking the two values, the stop time and the start time, and comparing the differences. Now we need to output that, so we're going to create a hash table here with the metrics. So our hash table is going to contain our previous values, so in this case the status return code and the duration in total milliseconds, or sorry, in seconds rather. Now those two elements will be returned. Now if you looked at our earlier videos on things like Influxdb, that then allows us to push this information directly to Influx as an example. But we're just going to run this for output purposes to prove that it runs successfully. So we can see we get our status to 100 and the number of seconds down to the milliseconds which it takes in order to load the page. Now that wraps up our video for today, so if you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, you know what to do, and as always, subscribe for more content.